especially in Europe, it's like 5 times more men than women. That means, for instance, in Germany, when you have just only 7% of people having their money at the stock market, then it's nearly no women.
It is shocking. It is shocking, and this is why we need to do something about it.
Welcome to Roll Right In, the podcast on innovation and entrepreneurship with Fabian and Ole. We believe that big challenges in the world can only be solved by entrepreneurs, like Eva.
Eva is a St.Gallen alumni, is a lawyer and former managing director of Bitpanda in Switzerland. And she has expertise in regulation from her time at one of the top law firms in Zurich and UBS. Currently, Eva's mission is to change the global conversation on women, money, and ESG as an active investor in SmartPurse and with her own consultancy firm, selamlaw&daughters. Welcome, Eva. Great to have you here.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Eva, you're an expert in crypto, and we saw a crash in the last year, and now Bitcoin came back in January, 37%. What do you think? Is this a bear rally, or is this here to stay?
Oh, wow. If I only had the crystal ball, right? No one knows. No one really knows what's going to happen. I think it's now really the time to wait and see and to build, right? The FTX collapse was a big moment last year. Didn't help the whole cause, and we will see what's going to happen. But me personally, I think I'm a bit more hesitant than I used to be. So I was a bit more enthusiastic a year ago. The technology that's here to stay. Will we have the same speculation hype that we used to see? Probably not, right? But the technology, the cases, I think that's there. That has been really proven to be valid and incredibly important. So there I see more hope, right? But as it comes to the currencies and just the speculation, there we will see some changes, I'm sure.
When you were working for Bitpanda, can you give us a little bit insight, how the behavior of in general the people, like what you have experienced on Bitpanda, how this behavior is, and why do these people like so much to speculate on these cryptos?
I think the retail clients was felt a bit like the gold rush, right? They saw extreme opportunities, and I think also the very basic feeling of greed kicked in, and it was easy. It was. Everyone thought, okay, now I can get rich, me included. Well, it didn't happen, and then combined with this adventurous feeling of, okay, this is now the new gold, and everything is possible. That just led to many retail customers to be a bit too eager, maybe, and would you on the street give your money to someone whom you have never seen, who has a registered sheet in the Bahamas, and who promised you a 20% return? Probably not, right? So I think it's very important to differentiate between, the players out there. There are good players and there are bad players, as with every industry. And I think one lesson learned from the developments last year is that the regulated players, they are still needed. And as with regard to Bitpanda, definitely, a good player, the regulation was always key. Licenses in Europe, wherever needed, standards, compliance, very important. And I think that's the big difference now to FTX or to other exchanges. And also, I think the developments of last year will basically also now be a home run for the traditional players, like the banks, that will going forward also offer digital assets, not just cryptocurrencies, but all digital assets. And so the regulation will, this element of trust will be of big help to them.
How did the FTX scandal affect you at Bitpanda?
I think there was a little bit of Schadenfreude, right? Because FTX was this big, very reputable exchange, the fourth of its size, right? So Binance number 1, FTX number 4, Gisele Bündchen, Tom Brady, being the ambassadors of FTX. Everyone, hyped the company, hyped Sam Bankman-Fried, and obviously, we are still having the presumption of innocence. So let's be clear about that. And then when everything went south, I guess there was this Schadenfreude a little bit, because it just showed that, regulation is important and that there is a reason for having a business model in place that is robust and that does not just play Wild West. But then on the other hand, there was obviously also a lot of regret and a lot of also anger, because behavior, again, presumption of innocence, but behaviors like that, reminding us of Enron, right? Reminding us of Lehman, can happen everywhere and then taints the whole industry. And that is just not really nice, especially if you do what you do in a right thing, in a right way, and in a good way, and then you're just being put in the same basket as everyone else. Crypto's bad, and we all, we knew it, that wouldn't work, and they're all crooks. So that was basically then the other side of the coin.
Did you move your assets from Bitpanda to a decentralized platform? And if yes, to what platform?
No, I didn't, because there was nothing left to move.
Sad.
I'm kidding. No, I was basically a late bloomer and invested in digital assets rather late. And then I was bleeding hard. So there was, and obviously I didn't put too much in that basket, as I said before, diversify, have your eggs in different baskets. So I put a little of our, assets that we didn't use for our kind of like daily life into that exchange. And it was a lot of fun, but it was kind of like playing money, right? And my goal was to see how does it develop in 1 year. And I didn't touch it. And so after a year, and then Ukraine happened and the market turmoils. After a year, there was not that much left anymore. So yeah,
I tried to set up an account, on one of these DeFi's. It's so complicated. It's just not user friendly at the moment, and
unless you're like a real geek, right, and super comfortable with setting up wallets and managing your own keys and whatnot, I think then you're good and you should do that. But most of us, we are just not geeks, and definitely I'm not a geek, and so I also like this additional support either by trustworthy neo brokers or by actually Swiss-based regulated regulated players. So there are a few of them. Don't want to recommend anyone in particular. This is nothing is advice mentioned herein. But yeah, definitely I think for the masses, it's better, or they need this support, right? They need this hand holding, because UX is key, and we are not there yet. It's too complicated and not user friendly at all at the moment, and at least not for the regular people.
How important do you consider the regulation being, and how do you think do you think this slows down innovation cycles?
There are always cycles, and so and up and downs, and if there's a crisis like that, it will it will have this cleansing effect on a few players, and the players that remain can build, can get stronger, can improve UX, can improve the internal processes, and then eventually, will that be in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows? Eventually, then when the markets turn, they are ready, right? But in terms of innovation, the times of crisis are usually, the best to really innovate and to enhance something.
And Eva, today is a very special day for you, as you've just founded your new consulting firm today, right?
Yay! Yeah, I'm so excited. It's a big day, and I'm so proud, basically, of myself, but also very grateful for everyone who has supported me along the way. And yeah, I went live today.
And what's the purpose?
Well, the purpose is to provide legal advice. Basically, that's the primary purpose, in green, not just because the branding color is green, but also because ESG, so social, environment, and governance, those topics are very close to my heart. And I think there's lots of potential, a big market to provide legal advice. And then also, obviously, I provide advice on traditional financial markets and business law matters. And I provide advice on new matters such as NFTs, crypto, digital assets, tokenization, metaverse, and so on.
And where can we find more information?
Go to my website, selamlaw&daughters. You will find all the information there. And also what is worthwhile to mention is that in the mid-run, I will start also doing events. Has nothing to do with providing legal advice, but more events to inspire and empower girls. So the and daughters part. To become more engaged in STEM, so in mathematics, informatics, technology, and science.
Why is that that girls seem to be a bit more shy when it comes to finance? What do you think are the reasons?
It has to do with the money mindset, because I think from early on, kids have a different, or are also differently taught to deal with money, right? And the shyness with regard to finance, I think, also stems from a lack of confidence. So this is just too complicated. This is too bankish. I don't understand it. I better let someone else do it. And then maybe the third reason is that no one wants to think about old age, right? And so it's easier to just think about today and tomorrow, but to make your money work and to think about what you need, how much money you need when you're old and when you stop working, that is something that we just don't want to think about intuitively, because no one wants to think about, that point in time. And I think it's a combination of those three factors: lack of confidence, how we grew up, with money, the worth of money, and then also just this dislike of just thinking about it and doing something about it, because we don't see this imminent need that it's important.
It's kind of strange because, back the days when we all were farmers, at least, so I was not there, but the science says that all the men were on the fields and in the forests, and women were counting stuff and making sure that they have a plan and a budget, when they eat what. And then basically they were the boss telling the man, hey, you got to go out and hunt something new that we got meat on the table. When did that change?
That is very interesting, because I heard the same story by Laura Liswood. Maybe we can talk about her a bit later on, about the northern countries where the men went out on their ships to fish and were gone for 10, 11 months. And so the women staying at the shore, were managing everything from the politics to the economics, the schools, the gardens, the households. And so, why is that? When did it change? Especially also if you look at the example that you just brought up, Fabian, then it should be different here in Switzerland, right? If it's really true. I know that it's different in the Nordics. There, women and men, it's just different. They're more advanced when it comes to gender equality than here in Switzerland. I don't know why it is. Maybe again, it goes back to that we are just too well off, that we are a bit too lazy also, maybe. Also us as women. Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe we're just too privileged and to get going. I don't know. It's the traditional role model that we have here in Switzerland. It's the
we made some research a little bit, and we saw that in the United States, it's close to 60% of all families that are invested in the stock market. Compared to that, in Germany, it's just 7. I think in Switzerland, it's around 15. And within that, I don't know, there are different numbers, but, within these 60% or 7%, whatever, especially in Europe, it's like 5 times more men than women. So that means, for instance, in Germany, when you have just only 7% of people having their money at the stock market, then it's nearly no women.
It is shocking. It is shocking, and this is why we need to do something about it. And this is why SmartPurse, the firm that I'm invested in and that I will going forward also support on an operative basis, is tackling the problem. So many women just don't invest. Why? Because again, I think it's the psychological hurdle. They think it's too complicated. They don't see the need. They lack the confidence. But the biggest mistake is not, or the biggest risk, right, is not to lose money at the stock exchange. I think the biggest risk or the biggest downside is to not do anything. Because if you invest, and if you look at the historical data, especially when it comes to equity, there is basically only an upside, usually, right? With the ups and downs, with the volatility.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
And if you do not invest, it's like the emergency like first aid courses that we used to or that we had to take, right, when doing the license for driving. It can only get worse if you don't do anything. But if you try to do something, if you act, usually it gets better, right? Usually the outcome is better. Same with the investing. If you, even with a small amount, you don't have to have $5,000 or $10,000 dollars or Swisses on the side. You can even start with a little money. If you put that in, if you let it be, you will in 20 years have much more money than if you keep the money in cash on your bank account. Has to do with inflation, has to do with compound interest, but ultimately it's very important to just go and try it out. Again, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Don't put all the money, into one share. Try it out. Go for an ETF. Go for a collective investment scheme that is diversified by itself. But just do something, and in 20 years, you will most likely, again, no guarantee here, you will be better off than now.
Eva, regarding SmartPurse, can you tell us a bit of how do you want to engage your community of women and girls and helping them in gaining financial literacy?
Love to. So we spark interest. We engage the women by having communities. And so one example is the Money Rally event in July, which is going to be the second edition. Last year was sold out in Zurich. 300 women coming together, spending a whole day with each other, talking about, finance. And so that was just really, really exciting, and a lot of energy came out of that. So the next event, it will be in July. There are still tickets available. You can go to website SmartPurse, then events, and you can get your ticket. And then we also have courses, webinars, and then ultimately you can just download the app, right? In iOS, it's available since last summer. And in Google, Android will be available very soon in the Play Store. And if you do not have time to go an event, or if you do not have time to take a webinar, you can self-learn, at the bus station, at home, in the evening, in the morning, whenever it suits you. You can do, the courses. There are like 80 courses, 9 modules. There are quizzes. It's very interactive. It's fun. And you can just continue to learn and to improve your financial literacy. And then once you're there, once you feel confident, more confident, that will be very imminent, I can promise you that, you can then go further and really go to action and start investing. There are lots of great tutorials and tools and know-how in the app.
So, look, here's Apple, huh? Apple, biggest company in the world. You get, if you would have bought this stock 20 years ago, it has done 42,000 percentage. So you can buy 1,000 and you're rich.
And there was also this cute little study by Fidelity, right, where they looked at accounts, and the accounts that performed best over a certain period of time were actually accounts by dead people, or by people that didn't really touch the assets in the account at all. So also this belief that you need to be a day trader, and that you need to constantly watch the stock prices, and that you have to just be on the Bloomberg terminal every day. It's just not true. It's obviously there are professionals that do a very good job in that, and then they're in charge of actively managed funds, for example, or they're working with the bank and manage your assets if you have a discretionary portfolio management agreement. But even we as regular people, we can invest in a saving plans, in an ETF, and just let it be, and we don't have to worry, right? We don't have to then worry about sleepless nights and watch the stock exchange developments. No, it's just not true.
Eva, we have prepared a little sentence completion game for you. Cryptocurrency is the future because...
Not sure whether it's the future. I think the blockchain technology is the future. The cryptocurrencies, that we will see.
The biggest misconception about blockchain is
that there's only one.
The best advice I've received as a female entrepreneur is...
The best advice I've ever gotten is bootstrap, because you will not get any money from VCs.
Did I told you the same?
Yes.
Okay. So the biggest barrier to female entrepreneurship is?
Again, if you need VC money, it's just the mere fact that you're a female is just a big hurdle, a big barrier. I think the latest numbers, and there are obviously different studies out there, but I think the latest numbers I checked is that female founders only get between 2 and 3% globally, from VCs, and that's just not right. Especially if you also look at other studies that show that the performance of female-led startups is 63% better than their peers. So this has to change, and it has to change fast.
You also mentioned that you are part of the Frauenzentrale Zurich. At least you were a speaker at their event about women and finance. And I was wondering, why are there just women? Is this on purpose? And if so, what is the advantage if women get together on of course, a topic about women and finance, but why are there just women?
Women have the most upside in becoming more engaged with finance, right? They live longer. They have they're less risk averse than men. They have lower salaries in general. they work part-time usually, or they stop working against remuneration while they're having kids. They still work, so that's very important to say. They're most impacted, and so that group of people, I'm not saying that there are not other groups that should also get more involved with finance, but that group has the biggest upside in getting engaged. And if women are amongst themselves, they dare more to ask questions. They feel encouraged, they feel empowered, and it's just this special vibe, I think, that then starts to develop.
Thank you very much, Eva, for your time.
Thank you so much, Ole and Fabian. It was really great. I enjoyed it a lot. And best of luck to you two too.